Hi everyone, this is Mr. West. We are doing Comparing Absolute Values Challenge today in Khan Academy. Quick tutorial to help you out with absolute values. Let's go ahead and get started. We want the following inequalities to be true. The absolute value, that's what those lines mean right here, in case you haven't been, if you're doing the challenge, you probably know what they mean. But just in case you don't know what they mean, it just means the distance from zero. That's what it literally means, okay? And we're looking for absolute value of x is greater than the absolute value of 5. Okay, that's what this says. Now, which of the following are possible values for x? Choose all the answers that apply. It's a little redundant that it has absolute value of 5, but what does absolute value of x mean? All right, so first let's draw a number line here. Okay, and I like to put 0 on here always, and then let's put 5, and let's put -5. Okay, so it's saying the absolute value of x is greater than the absolute value of 5. Anytime we have absolute value, we have to split this up, and it's an inequality. We have to split this up into two components. We have to say that the absolute value of x has to be greater than 5, and then we also have to say absolute value of x has to be less than -5. You always have to split it up when you have an absolute value like this. And I know it says absolute value of 5, but it doesn't matter. You always have to split it up into two branches. Let me kind of show that split in a second. Okay, so you always have to go, the absolute value of x is bigger than 5, so you almost keep it the same. And the only difference is you're also going to include this other branch, which x is less than, you flip the sign, and then you make negative. So you need both those things. You got to flip a sign and then make a negative. Okay? So this is our possible values for the absolute value of x is greater than 5. Now, why does this work? Okay, and again, I want to keep this quick because I talked about this in other videos if you guys want to look it up. But if we're talking about a value that's bigger than 5, okay, 6. If we take the absolute value of 6, it's equal to 6, and 6 is bigger than 5. So that point is there. We could talk about 10. Oops. Absolute value of 10 is equal to 10. 10 is bigger than 5. So 10 is over here. So we're talking about all the points this way. This is what how you'd graph it, like this. Okay? If you're in advanced topics, you would graph it with the parentheses and not an open dot. Okay? But this is what the graph would look like. Now, we can also include values. For example, if we include -6, the absolute value of -6 is equal to 6, and 6 is bigger than 5. So -6 is a value, -7 is a value, -8. All these values to the left are also values. So if you're advanced topics, you're going to use a parentheses. If you're not, you're going to use an open circle. But that's what it should look like, okay? So all these values are what are representative of our possible solution. So we just need to look through here and see which answers apply. Now, if you didn't know how to graph this, that's okay. And you're seeing this maybe for the first time, just look at your choices and plug them in. This is a great thing to do on multiple choice tests, is just plug them in to x and see if it equals something true. -4, absolute value, that's equal to 4. Is that bigger than 5? No, it's not. 3, is that bigger than 5? No, it's not. 9, is that bigger than 5? Yes, it is. So our answer is C. And just, I should have mentioned this earlier, but what does absolute value mean? It just means the distance from 0. So if we have the absolute value of 2, I don't know how I messed that up so much. Here it is again. Absolute value of 2. That means 2 here, 2 here. So basically, a good way to think of it is anytime you have absolute value, it makes it a positive. If it's already positive, it stays 0. Because this distance is 2, this distance is 2, it's distance from 0. Okay, you get it. I think too much time on that first question, but we got 3 more. Let's go. Use the following number line to determine if the expressions are true or false. Okay. A is less than B. Okay, I think that's pretty evident that is true. If you look here, you see that we usually have number lines. It's greater to the right, and then it's smaller to the left, or lesser. I'm going to write smaller because lesser just sounds dumb. But it's not dumb. It's mathematical. Absolute value of A is equal to 0. Oh, A is on 0, so the absolute value of A is going to be equal to 0. Its distance from 0 is 0, okay? That's what that means. The absolute value of A is less than the absolute value of B. Okay, I always think it's always helpful to plug in numbers. So if we have, well, A is on 0, so absolute value of 0, and it doesn't even matter what B is. It could be absolute value of 5. It's got to be bigger, okay, because it's further to the right than B. Is 5 bigger than 0? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is impossible. Well, no. B is bigger. Sorry. I thought it was saying, it's saying B is bigger than A. True. They're all true. All right, next question. We want the following inequality to be true. We want it to be true, okay? Which of the following are possible values of x? Okay, we can go back to our graph before. If you guys remember that, 0, 14, negative 14, and this time it's got to be less than. Was it less than last time? I can't remember. No, it was not. Okay, but now I still want to show the split. We're going to keep it the same. X is less than 14, but now we have to flip it and make it negative. Okay, so we're going to make it x is greater than. We flip the sign and then make it negative. So x is greater than negative 14 or x is less than 0. Now this one's going to overlap because we're talking about a graph that goes this way and a graph that goes this way. Where do they overlap? They overlap here. Let's go red. Right there. That's our overlap, not including negative 14, not including 14. It would have to include it if you had less than or equal to sign. Again, check out those videos of mine if you want further details. But the bottom line is this. Which of these values fit into that range right there? Okay, and we choose all that apply. That means there's going to be more than one. Okay, now again, we can just plug it in. If we plug in negative 12 here, absolute value, is 12 less than 14? Yes, it is. Boom. We could plug this in here. 0. 0 is less than 14. Boom. And 5 is less than 14. You can see that it's all in here. All those answers are also in here. A, B, C, as easy as 1, 2, 3. Jackson 5. Thank you. Use the following number line to determine if the expressions are true or false. Last one. A is less than B. Okay, it's further to the left. That is true. That's what that means. Absolute value of A is less than B. Aha, this is a good scenario here. It's not 0, so they're non-zero, but let's just say this is negative 1, and let's just say this is negative 3. If we take the absolute value of negative 3, that's equal to 3. If we take the absolute value of negative 1, it's equal to 1. B is closer to 0, so it's also going to be closer to 0 when you make it positive. Okay, so B is going to be over here when you make it positive. That'd be absolute value of B. And then over here, the distance from 0 for A is greater than B, so it's also going to be bigger when you make it positive. So B is not. The absolute value of B is not bigger than A. A is bigger than the absolute value of A is bigger than the absolute value of B. And then absolute value of A, is that going to be less than B? No, absolute value of A is going to be positive. Okay, we already said absolute value of A is going to be over here. B is over here. Absolute value of B is right there. So B is right there. This is definitely bigger. It's to the right, so it's definitely bigger. That is false. Absolute value of A is going to be bigger than B. Check it out. All right, there we go. Comparing absolute values challenge. And finally, the music timed up correctly. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you want anything else covered. Be sure to check out some of my other videos that I've referenced. Just go ahead and search it in my videos. You'll see absolute value, anything you need. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Wes Explains Best.